What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Straight Shoot. It has been a minute, but Jack and I are here and we are reviewing WrestlePalooza, ESPN's first PLE. And Jack, I think this is the first time we put the fists up.
We had our own little war games, Steve.
Dude, you and I, like, I wish, genuinely,
the keyboard warriors were out tonight.
Dude, we had the keyboard warriors. You and I were at each other during the entire show about positive, negative. Jack, this is going to be probably one of the best reviews that we have done. But guys, don't forget, make sure you follow the straightshoot.co newsletter before we get into this entire video. 3 times a week, we are dropping pro wrestling content. And at Crown Jewel in Perth, we are giving away a WWE signed title. That is the first giveaway that we are doing. We're also doing another one at Survivor Series. But now, let's get into the video. Jack, dude, we had a very interesting show. And before we get into the matches, the new intro. I just need this for a second. The very evident respect that they paid to Vince McMahon, I think, is something that a lot of pro wrestling fans did not expect tonight. The new intro really showed the history of even the graphic, you know, like the 30-second graphic way into the history of professional wrestling. And there was a lot of evident mentions of Vince McMahon and his influence on WWE. I want to know your opinion on that first, because I thought it was like unexpected.
I think we are moving into, and maybe I'm wrong, because in a lot of different areas in the world, we're not moving closer to this at all. But Paul Levesque, Lee Fitting, Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon, like, I feel like they're all pushing us towards more realism than we've ever been. Like, yeah, Vince McMahon and even Brock Lesnar. It's like you could argue that, hey, man, he shouldn't be there right now with certain things still going on, right? And some people will make that argument. We were talking about them taking away the press conferences earlier. That was another big reason I feel like they took away the press conferences for content creators and journalists alike to ask compelling, real, hard-hitting questions post premium live events. But this is another way of WWE paying homage to not only the man who created the entire global phenomenon that it is, and it's why you're able to strike deals with ESPN and charge people $30 a month to watch your programming unless you have a VPN. And Steve apparently has a VPN that he didn't tell me about until today. But at the same time, like, you're honoring the grandfather to your children if you're Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, right? Like, duh, like, he was a huge part of it. He's one of the biggest influences that World Wrestling Entertainment and the World Wrestling Federation beforehand had. So of course you're gonna acknowledge that fact. You can't just like sweep it under the rug. This isn't a Chris Benoit situation where he did like an unforgivable thing and you can't ever mention him again, right? Vince McMahon is a kind of a slimy old man from what we've heard, and the allegations against him, and you wouldn't put it past him based on the character. And the documentary on Netflix came out a year ago. If you haven't seen that yet, holy shit, is it a great documentary about Vince McMahon, and kind of, alludes into the things that you may think of him. But
yeah,
Bruce Pritchard's of the world, I forgot to mention Bruce, he's probably thrilled that Vince McMahon got his flowers. That's a man that stuck by him through thick and thin, a man that paid for his wife's cancer treatment as well at one point in time. So Vincent Kennedy McMahon getting honored in a way to where it's like they didn't like directly like thank him or like mention him in any way. Like, they alluded to the fact that he was a big part, if not the biggest part, into why WWE and ESPN have able to come together and collaborate in the way that they did tonight and the way they're going to moving forward.
You and I we've talked a few times about like roads going parallel. We've talked about it a few times, being on the same road but parallel to each other in different segments. ESPN and WWE kind of did that with that video tonight, and I really enjoyed it because, like you said, they didn't really throw the Vince McMahon thing in your face, but they also said, like, we have to acknowledge it, So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a tasteful way of including him in it. Later on in the show, I'm not going to lie, I thought he was going to show up, but we'll talk about it segment by segment. Dude, I'm not going to lie, I thought he was going to show up. But anyways,
what part of the night?
You'll see when we get to it. Anyways, so moving into the entire opening of the show, I think the cross introduction of ESPN and the video montage with the fireworks and the crowd, dude, I don't think WWE has ever done it better. They tried it with Netflix and the announcement with Netflix, and it was cool. But I sat there and I get goosebumps when let's say Taker's bell rings, Roman shows up, a really cool entrance. From the new intro to the video montage with the blend with ESPN, I was sitting there and I'm like, these aren't going away. This is a first for me with pro wrestling. It just lasted 8-12 minutes. And I thought it was the coolest thing to really blend and let us know that what Triple H said is, sports is entertainment. And I think that might have been the most significant thing said or shown all night, is sports is entertainment. It almost washed away is professional wrestling fake. And it removed that concept of call it fake. Because here's the thing. Yes, sports is real. You know what I mean? But the reaction from the fans is always organic. You can watch a TV show and the fans' reaction is always going to be organic. So the entertainment of sports is organic. If we're trying to do sports entertainment, professional wrestling, it's been done for over 150 years across the world. That, wrestling, even in the 30s and the 40s, it was still scripted, but it was entertainment. So you can't really use the F word anymore. That's what I took from this. I think they did that very well in portraying what Triple H said.
I think we're as close as we probably have ever been from, arguing with the fans that say it's fake and it's, scripted. No, duh, it's scripted. We've always made the parallels to movies, right? People don't understand it that truly want to hate the product, right? I think we're as close as to we've ever been of people on the outside who come in and watch it every now and then, like an amateur fan that says, oh yeah, this is entertainment and these people are athletes. Because that is what WWE is. I think because WWE, and more so now than ever, WWE has always been under the same umbrella as UFC, and I don't know why. Maybe because it's the fighting element of oh, they're fighting and they're fighting. I don't get it. But they compare it to that and they're like, oh, these guys are killing each other in the cage. These guys have no idea. Yeah, it's scripted entertainment, but you have to be one hell of an athlete to put on this show in real time and get the timing down. That doesn't just happen overnight. We saw it tonight in a couple of matches and we can talk about it. Timing was off in some of those matches, in my opinion. Just to go how hard it is to get back into the ring and, hit that timing perfectly in front of live fans, in front of live cameras, on live streaming services on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's not UFC, it's not NFL, but there's been former UFC champions that have stepped foot in a WWE ring specifically tonight. There are former NFL stars that have stepped foot in the ring in a WWE ring specifically tonight. Real athletes are what make WWE what it is.
Yeah.
It's scripted entertainment, and sports and entertainment is kind of being aligned in the same thing. The synergies there of sports is entertainment. And that was, it was very easy to say by Paul Levesque, but yeah, it was profound, especially with dramatic music behind it to end that 8-minute montage before the show started.
All right, dive into the first match of the night, and I know you have.
Dude, what the fuck?
I know you
What
have a lot
the
of
fuck?
issues, so I'm gonna let you carry this because
What?
I'm gonna tell you right now. Actually, I'm gonna take this for 2 seconds.
Steve, I got my Trump hands out right now.
Yep. Nope.
What?
Okay. Hold on. I said in my predictions video, I pray WWE reenacts the 2014 squash of
Why did we
John
need to
Cena.
see it again?
I just wanted it as a fan, not as an analyst, not as a content creator. I just wanted to see it again because at this time of John Cena's career, it wouldn't make sense, but it would be crazy to see the backlash. So please enlighten me why this was bad.
John Cena has 5 dates left.
Mm-hmm.
He can't, like, there's no coming back from this. This was just a squash. Reintroducing the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, and you squashed the guy that you've kind of centered your whole year around in John Cena and totally made him an afterthought tonight. He has 5 dates left, and essentially he's just going to show up to make appearances for these final 5 dates. There's going to be no stories involved. He's probably just going to have matches with guys that, you know, we have hope to clamor for. I could see him facing, you know, maybe like Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship on Raw in New York or in Boston, which would be a cool thing. Maybe we get like a one-off dream match between him and, like, say, AJ Styles one more time in Perth. War Games, and we'll get into this take in a little bit because I have a wild War Games prediction that I think could happen, and maybe that can, you know, close this chapter with him and Lesnar. But like tonight, for this to be their final match ever, for it to start the way it did with, you know, John Cena getting his never seen 17, the greatest of all time, blessing us with his presence one final time intro, only for Brock Lesnar, and the whole place going bananas. The last real ass kicker, Brock Lesnar. For it to be exactly what, like, yeah, you're right. It's what it should have been. At this point in his career, John Cena is not Super Cena. He's about 50 pounds, you know, less than what he weighed 11 years ago when he got squashed by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is probably 50 pounds heavier than what he was in 2014.
I'm telling you right now, Brock Lesnar was 330 in that ring tonight.
Yeah, he's as big as he's ever been. And we say that every time he comes back. It's like, oh, he got even bigger. Like, he's legitimately as big as he's ever been. And he just looks like a farm boy. He just looks like the last 6. Not one suplex. That was kind of odd to me. No suplexes, but 6 F5, 7 total, 8 if you want to count the one to the referee.
I think it was 8. Yeah, with
in
total
8. It destroyed Cena in a way to where it's like, if that's his final encounter with Lesnar, sure, you reintroduce Brock Lesnar as the beating machine that he is, and then he goes on to face whoever he faces. But John Cena, it's like all crying because their hero got his ass beat by a former UFC champion. And maybe, like, on paper, like, that is real. That's realism at its finest. Brock Lesnar in the shape that he's in versus John Cena versus the current shape he's in. Maybe it shouldn't have happened for John Cena to have a great match and beat Brock Lesnar. And I'm not saying that John Cena should have beaten Brock Lesnar. I'm just saying it should have been closer. It should have been probably the best in-ring performance from both guys that they've ever had wrestling each other, because it's always been Brock Lesnar kicking John Cena's ass. Like, on paper, John Cena is a 17-time world champion. 11 years ago, he was like a 12-time he was a 15-time champion at the time when he faced Lesnar in 2014. Like, that shouldn't have been a squash either. Ramifications were different. Brock Lesnar just ended the streak. You wanted him to be a beating machine. I get it.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar has lost like probably 12 times since then, though. He lost to Cody Rhodes twice. He's lost to Roman like 3 times. He's lost to Bobby Lashley, of all people. Like, he's not exactly like an undefeated machine anymore. So to me, it's
not in the physical appearance that he is now. And I think that is like Brock Lesnar has gone. I don't mean to cut you off. I apologize. But I don't think. Offended. No, well, deal with it. No, but point being is, I agree with you with the Cody, the Roman, and the Bobby Lashley thing, but that was not the Lesnar we got tonight. This Lesnar we got tonight was something different.
So let me ask you this then. What is the payoff to building Brock Lesnar back up as like an unstoppable force again? Who's going to be the guy to take him down?
We never know. We don't know until probably 2026 at this point. I don't think that the story's being... I still think Cena and Lesnar go one more time, potentially in Perth. I actually think that's the way they go with this. Is Cena was like, you know
But
what?
John Cena doesn't have one appearance until Perth to build it up. Like, why would they just schedule another match?
And
Because
I said this to you over text. I said a bunch of video packages. They don't need to be in the arena. There has been so many times we have seen great feuds built over video packages. We can see that happen for Perth. Think about it. Perth is across the world.
For what to happen, though? For Cena to get a win back?
Probably in a more violent match, though. In something no holds barred. Or...
So here's my take on that. Since I want to get this take out into the open, into the ether for,
Okay.
all of your followers, all of my followers, all of, the wrestling
followers.
Yeah, our followers, I guess. I just hold on to Steve's cape and I skyrocket to the top. That's what I'm doing here.
Shut up.
But I think we are going to get, in the first ever ESPN aired Survivor Series War Games, we're going to get like an all-star War Games match. Not that we haven't in the past. They've all been great. Obviously, 2 years ago, CM Punk returned at the end of the night. Randy Orton returned in War Games. Last year, we got the Bloodline versus Bloodline. Like, all great stories. This year is going to be a legitimate all-star game in War Games, in my opinion, the way it's shaping up. Because last night on SmackDown, we got the backstage segment between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker by his side. Was not expecting that. I could tell on your face when you were streaming it that you were not expecting that either.
Amazing.
The fact that we got Paul Heyman introing Brock Lesnar tonight tells me that they're back. Brock and Paul Heyman, even though they're probably not going to be on camera many times, they're on good terms. They're friends again. We got the high five because they were broken up when he was with Reigns. Like, that was like evident. He turned on him.
Yeah, he turned.
So they're back together, which tells me, because I think War Games this year is always going to be surrendered or centered around the Vision, because they have a giant stable, they have so many big rivals in the babyface department that it just makes sense for them to be like the headlining War Games match. So here's what I'm proposing based on what we've seen. It looks like Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, the Vision. That's set in stone. Those are 3 members. The fact that Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are on good terms again, that's your 4th member. So you're getting Lesnar, Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. Just think of those 4 alone on the same team inside a massive steel cage.
Yep.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the 5th man, and there's no evidence to support this yet, but I think it's going to make sense after Crown Jewel. I think the 5th man is going to be Drew McIntyre. I think it's going to be Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Drew McIntyre, which is filthy as a heel stable going into War Games. And I believe that Drew McIntyre will join forces with them, and I believe Brock Lesnar is going to join forces with them, because we are getting, in the main event of Crown Jewel, WWE Champion Cody Rhodes versus World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins. We basically confirmed that on the post-show tonight, just about 30 minutes ago.
Yep.
Cody Rhodes has beaten Seth Rollins every single time that they faced each other.
3-0.
The Rio sweep back in 2022, and it's crazy that they haven't wrestled in 3.5 years.
Annoys the hell out of me, yes.
Seth Rollins just lost tonight, even though he wasn't in the deciding factor. Him and Becky Lynch lost to CM Punk and AJ Lee. He's going to get his win back at Crown Jewel. And it's not going to be because of a clean victory. It's going to be because either Drew McIntyre gets involved, the Vision, which is probably the obvious choice to get involved, or Brock Lesnar can get involved if he's going to be at Crown Jewel facing John Cena or facing whoever else. That's a big marquee name to have in Perth, Australia. I'd imagine that they're going to have their heavy hitters there. That gives Cody Rhodes motive to not only go after Drew McIntyre again, gives him motive to go after Seth Rollins, it gives him motive to go after the Vision, and potentially Brock Lesnar. Who else has motive to go after the Vision? CM Punk. CM
Yep.
Punk's story with Seth Rollins is far from over. Who else has motive to go after Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker? Roman
Jimmy
Reigns.
Oh, Roman. Okay.
Roman Reigns, who was taken out by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed a few weeks ago in Paris. So now you have Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Roman Reigns. Those are three guys that are going to have to learn to get on the same page. Not saying it's going to be easy for the baby faces, but who else has beef with Brock Lesnar at that point? And who they can just call because Cody Rhodes and him are good now. John Cena. So now you got Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, John Cena, more compatible forces that have to learn to get on the same page because there's so much history there.
Mm-hmm.
The fifth man, to me, not that he has problems with Lesnar or the Vision, maybe McIntyre, is Randy Orton. So now you have John Cena, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns. That is the all-star team of babyfaces that the WWE has right now against Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Drew McIntyre. It does not get any bigger than that.
No, it doesn't get any bigger than that, but I don't think it would hold. Like, I just don't see... Like, I would love to see that, but where do the Usos fit? Like, the Usos
have a story with LA Knight right now. That's where I think
Jay has a story with LA Knight right now.
Which means Jimmy's going to go back to SmackDown and do whatever.
No, Jimmy's not going anywhere. They're keeping the Usos together because they're going to play this out until the Rumble where Jay Uso eliminates Jimmy.
I don't know. They could go that way. I think they lost tonight to make Braun and Bronson look strong because they needed a win, and I've been saying it for months. They needed a win.
Begging for a win.
As I was saying.
So the Usos needed to give the Brawns a win.
100%. They didn't further the story between LA Knight and Jey Uso. He was kind of an impartial special guest referee. I thought that added a unique twist going in, but it turned out that he just allowed it to be no DQ. I think that they're going to continue the LA Knight Jey Uso thing with Jey Uso continuing to creep closer and closer to being the heel version of what Roman was back in 2020. That's what I think is going to happen in the long term. Whether or not that results in Jimmy versus Jay one more time at WrestleMania 42 or not, I think that's the long-term direction of Jey Uso. I think, like, what would you do if you put the Usos together in War Games? Like Roman, the Usos, Cody, and Cena? Would that be your War Games?
Yeah, that would be it.
So give Punk the night off. And who was the other guy that I had mentioned? Randy Orton, which I guess could help with his back problems that may or may not be real. To me, just on paper, I'm like, that is an all-star team. An all-star team. And it also gives John Cena one last final hoorah with Roman Reigns in the ring, with Randy side by side, with Punk side by side, with Cody. Like, that could be John Cena's big moment where he finally takes out Brock Lesnar, too, and pins him in the ring.
And that could be great.
Which would make sense to what happened tonight, is what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, I agree with you with the Brawns needing the win tonight. I kind of like how it was an unconventional win and LA Knight allowing it to become a no DQ, because really, like, if you go through the entire match, you didn't really know who was legal up until the end. You didn't know what the hell was going on. It was such a cluster that you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, we know that the Brawns are probably going to come out on top. I like the finish. I really, really like the finish. The only thing I was confused about is how the hell Jay started leaking so bad. It's one of the few times that you've seen color like that in WWE, and I ran it back and I looked on social media, and it was kind of funny. It was the chair shot to the back of Braun Breaker. Everyone thought it was the other chair shot to Bronson, but it was the chair shot where he came across and Jay put his head into it, and the chair kicked back on the leg and busted him open. And I was like, how? I have never seen someone bust themselves open like that. And a lot of people in my stream and a lot of people in the comment section were saying, that was a rush finish. Do you think that was a rush finish? Because
I don't think it was a
do.
rush finish. I think when Braun Breaker speared Jey Uso, I thought they were going to wrap it up there. Like, I didn't think they were going to go through with like that table spot where they were both speared through the table or anything like that.
Yeah.
I thought when I saw him and like he couldn't stop it, and I saw like this anxious look on LA Knight's face too of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
LA Knight's like, here we go again. Seth Rollins 2 months ago. Though I guess wink wink he knew about that one. Yeah, I don't think it was a rush finish. I feel like that's the perfect way in. A double spear through a table, and then a tsunami. That's how you win a no DQ match.
Yeah,
at the end. I don't know how else they would have ended it, but yeah, like I was starting to get a little bit nervous. I'm like, when's the doctor going to come into the ring? Because he's not.
And if you watch if you watch the celebration of the Bronze winning that and Paul Heyman standing in the ring, you see the doctor literally just right on Jay. So you knew that cut was bad. So he's gonna get some staples tonight. But overall, like, and we haven't done the ratings yet, and I would like to do the ratings at the end of this video. So just keep in mind. Moving into Io and Stephanie, which I think on paper everyone expected to be a 5-star match. They are two of arguably the best in the world. And that's crazy to say with what the NXT women's division is, what we saw earlier in the night. And I don't want to bring up AEW on this video too much. I'm happy to talk about AEW later on, because I'm going to say All Out was pretty freaking amazing. But the AEW women's division is amazing. The women's division over in Japan is amazing. But these two women, hands down. Io Sky, WWE has only had, I think, 3 5-star women's matches in the last 2 years. Io's been in all of them. So Io versus Stephanie, I think we all had that amazing build to. Did it stand up to what we thought it was going to be? And I want to just do this on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
No.
What?
It was a good match. I think it was the lackluster point of the night. Like, if you had to line up every single match from top to bottom, actually, maybe Cena Lesnar was.
I was gonna say, you and I saw 2 different shows tonight.
I don't know. Maybe Cena Lesnar was the most disappointing from a fan perspective, even though like you got a ton of. It was a finisher fest, right? To me, Io Sky versus Stephanie Valkyrie did not live up to what I thought it was going to be in my head. It was not Io versus Rhea at Evolution. To me, that is the women's match of the year so far.
Agreed.
That might be the women's match of the year, period. When it's all said and done in December.
No, agreed. I don't think that. I don't mean to cut you off. I don't think there's been a women's match like Io versus Rhea since Mariah versus Tony in that final send off of their feud. Mariah versus Tony, in arguably 2024, was match of the year, and that was disgustingly good. Io Rhea Evolution, takes the cake. Yeah, but I expected more from tonight, but I'm not gonna say it was the disappointment of the night or the lackluster moment of the night. Like I thought these women pulled off a show that was deserving of the current women's WWE roster, period.
No, for sure. Like I said, it wasn't like a botched match or anything. It just, like, to me, I could take it or leave it. Stephanie had the nice moment with her dad afterwards when she won the title and stuff like that. And, Io Sky, though she lost clean, she alluded to, a leg injury multiple times, kind of the same way that Drew did towards the end, and Cody, and we'll get to that. It just, to me, it didn't have that sauce that some of the matches in the past have had. The triple threat at WrestleMania between Io, Rhea, and Bianca. The main event of Evolution, you alluded to it. Io Sky has had 5-star clinic after 5-star clinic. And I think moving forward, we're going to probably see an Io Sky and Asuka feud. I feel like they've been teasing that for a while, and I think that has a certain juice to it that's going to get people excited. I just think that this was a face versus face match that on paper you're like, it's going to be an awesome match. And I don't think it was an awesome match. I think it was like the same amount of awesome that we got with like Edge and AJ Styles at WrestleMania 38. Where like on paper, you're like, this is going to be an in-ring clinic. They're going to
Mhm.
steal the show, and they just didn't. It wasn't horrible, but like you could just tell like it wasn't as smooth as you had hoped that it would be.
Okay.
That's more so the analogy I'd make in that scenario.
See, like I really enjoyed the finish. I thought it was really impressive. I think they told a good story out of it. The nice moment where their dad comes as a secondary is like the cherry on top. But I thought the finish, the sequences between EO like pulling the knee brace down, saying, "Yeah, my knee's injured, but we're gonna go. Like I'm just gonna try and do everything I need to do." And then the corkscrew.
Oh, that was insanely impressive. Don't get me wrong.
I've seen her do it before, but that was probably the cleanest I've seen it done. Which
Wasn't
is
expecting it. It
no,
was
exactly.
like when Seth Rollins hit the Phoenix Splash on John Cena at the Royal Rumble in
Yeah,
2015. You're like, holy shit! I didn't realize he had that in
yeah.
his arsenal. You know,
So it's one of those ones. Like I really enjoyed that match. It didn't live up to the exact expectations, but it was pretty damn close for me. Um, but anyways, I digress. We'll get to the ratings after, but let's move into the tag match. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. What an entrance. Like that gave, obviously that's what it was supposed to give you, was Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 25.
yeah.
That entrance, I thought that was extremely impressive, and I think they put out all the stops for that. And then obviously the Seth allowing Becky's music to play, like CM Punk called out the other week, saying, "Oh, at least I allow my wife's music to play." I thought that was a nice little touch there. And
Huge
then
congratulations to Becky Lynch, who finally got to don Seth Rollins' ridiculous wardrobe. We've seen it in past documentaries of Becky being jealous of some of
yep.
the ridiculous things that Seth Rollins gets to wear on camera. They finally came out together, both wearing ridiculous stuff.
I thought he was great. This is the thing I love about Seth. It's the thing I love about Becky. And like for you to be such a heel fan and such a heel creator, the fact that you aren't obsessing over this more is disappointing, because these two literally pulled out, like, in my mind, Bobby Heenan level heel work in this entire feud building up. Like, I loved all of this. And then you get like, and there's no disrespect to the way CM Punk and AJ came out. It was just kind of, for me, lackluster. Like, I love the transition. It's clobbering time. Light it up. Okay, cool. That was cool. But it just felt flat. You know what I mean? And a lot of people in my chat were saying that this match was sloppy.
Well,
All
this is what
across.
I was alluding to earlier about not
Okay.
everything came down to timing.
Okay, go right
And
ahead.
how hard it is.
I'll let you take it. I'll let you
And
take it.
how hard it is to get that correct timing in the ring down, especially when you haven't been in the ring in 10 years. March of 2020 or
Just
2015, right?
just over 10 years.
Yeah, just over 10 years for AJ Lee. And I feel like that match went exactly how I thought it was in my head. CM Punk and Seth Rollins were going to do the bulk of the
Yep.
in-ring work for the first 20 minutes of the match. And then AJ was going to get the hot tag, and then, she was going to do whatever. The timing wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
In moments where like the 2.5 count of the near 3 counts, the crowd wasn't reacting to it the way that they probably should have, and the way that Paul Levesque had probably hoped, producing that match. There was a near finish, I believe, with Becky
Yep.
Lynch hitting, was it the manhandle slam or
Bottom
something,
right,
where
bottom
I
left
thought it
of
was
the
going to be
ring.
over.
Yeah.
Where I definitely thought it was going to be over, and then there was a kick out at 2.5, and like the crowd just didn't react to it. Where I'm like, oh
Well,
shit, I didn't expect her to kick out of that.
it looked like Jessica Carr stopped her hand before AJ kicked out. That's
Yeah.
I even said that. I went, "Oh, okay." That looked a little late, because it like Jess came down and she went, and then her hand hesitated to do this, and then AJ kicked out. Like, it was a split second thing. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like, the timing was really off, but I still think this entire match was played out exactly how we thought it was going to go. AJ Lee was obviously get to the Black Widow submission, and probably on Monday Night Raw she's gonna call out Becky, being like, hey, I submitted you, crown jewel in Perth, I want a shot at the IC title. I'm not disappointed with that. I just think it could have been put together better, or at least timing wise. We saw a lot of leaked photos and a lot of leaked videos of them working through it. And if you've ever been at a wrestling event where you see them working backstage, like, it seems like really nice transitions and all that kind of stuff, with wrestlers kind of like working through their matches. It, for four people that are arguably Hall of Famers, it just felt like it came up short.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get to hear their actual reactions or what Paul Levesque's reaction and, you know, Bruce Pritchard and everybody, what they thought of the match. To me, it furthered the story, which is the end mission.
Important part. Yeah,
the mission was accomplished, but like, and I wasn't going into this expecting AJ Lee's timing to be down by any means. No. They hit their big spots. AJ getting thrown in by Becky Lynch to Punk and Rollins, and them three going through the table. Like, I thought that was good. It wasn't perfect, but like, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the end of the match, regardless of who came out on top. To me, I was almost nervous. I'm like, Becky and Seth can't go over. Like, this can't be the way that AJ's return happens. I personally was also expecting a huge angle in that match. We had previously talked about, like, potentially Seth Rollins hitting a curb stomp on AJ Lee or something. Like, I thought there was going to be like a big moment that was going to send the Punk Rollins feud to the next level. I don't know where they go moving forward with that, considering Rollins is facing Cody at Crown Jewel. The next 4 weeks are kind of booked up, and then there's War Games. So Punk versus Rollins in a blow-off match to their year-long feud, I don't think is happening anytime soon, which really makes me think what the plan is going into the road to WrestleMania. But to me, that furthered the story of AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, whether we get that Women's Intercontinental Championship match. And it's going to be for the title, because there's no way AJ would have taken the title the night she returned and have it on Monday Night Raw if her sights weren't set on Becky Lynch and that title. So that match is either going to happen at Crown Jewel or later on. And maybe they do a War Games match where they insert Becky Lynch and AJ Lee into War Games along with the other men. I don't think that's ever happened before, but I don't necessarily say that that's against the rules per se. You know, maybe maybe you do Seth, Brock, the Bronze, and Becky Lynch versus, say, CM Punk, AJ Lee, the Usos, and Roman Reigns. You know?
I'm sorry, you just put Brock Lesnar and AJ Lee in the same ring. Dude, that's actually that's terrifying, but fantastic. I would love listen, I'm the guy that was praying going into tonight that Seth Rollins was going to curb stomp AJ Lee. Like, I was the advocate for that. I was the advocate, and I got the opposite. AJ Lee curb stomping Seth Rollins. Not disappointed. Thought it was executed very nicely. Overall, you know, the match, the timing was off. The match was very good. Let's just go with that. I think the match was very good. Told the story where it needed to be told. I am also concerned with the CM Punk and Seth Rollins angle, because that needs to be either clarified or finalized sooner or later. Because if we go all through 2026 with, you know, Seth and Punk have issues, it's going to get stale real quick.
To me, having that angle tonight and then setting up Punk and Rollins like inside Hell in a Cell in Perth, to me, that would not have shocked me. But the fact that they are doing the champion versus champion matches at Crown Jewel kind of puts things in a halt, because then War Games is after Crown Jewel. So the next 2 months are kind of accounted for.
So then it goes to Riyadh
for the Rumble.
With the Rumble, which they're trying to make the Riyadh events massive. So we can dive into another video on that, but that could be
That could be a blow off. That could 100%, you know?
yeah. So
To me, I still want to see CM Punk win a Royal Rumble match, and that's just me. But they could do that where they have that massive blow off match and he's not in the Rumble.
fair enough. We could see that. Oh, let's go into
I think we can
Drew.
both agree on the main event.
You take it. I'll bitch about it after. Take it.
It wasn't good. You can tell when a main event is solid and when it just didn't click. This one just didn't click for me. This was, and I texted you, it gave me Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens at Saturday night's, the first ever Saturday night's main event match for the title, where it's like you expected something big to happen and then Cody just won. Now, granted, on that show, Cody hit like a pile driver when they went off the air and he had that whole confrontation with Triple H and it went somewhere. But this one was just Cody looked like Cody had a head injury. It looked like he had a leg injury. To me, all signs were pointing towards Drew McIntyre winning, whether he won it clean with them selling one of these Cody injuries, whether the final boss came back. It was the first ever WWE event streaming on ESPN. You know, he is the head of the board. This would be the thing where, and Drew McIntyre is his poster child for Project Rock right now in Under Armour. So like it made sense for him to come back if he wanted to, but he didn't. So with that being said, don't want to see The Rock moving forward. The other thing is that given that it was the main event, to me, it's like WrestlePalooza. It's a big event, first ever event on ESPN. They wanted to, they made John Cena and Brock Lesnar, which should have been the main event on paper, the opening match because they wanted to get as many eyeballs on it right away at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 Eastern.
Yeah.
The fact that Cody versus Drew, and granted, WWE Championship match probably should be your main event regardless. The fact that that was going on last told me something big is going to happen, whether it's The Rock, whether it's Drew winning the title, whether it's Randy Orton turning heel on Cody Rhodes, which is something that we've been clamoring for over a year and a half now. Something had to give, and it just ended the same way it would end on like Saturday night's main event or even a SmackDown.
I was going to say, you're giving it too much credit for Saturday night's main event. That was a ending to a Monday Night Raw in Utah. Like that's no, I'm sorry. I'm not even trying to. I'm taking this right now. That was an ending to a Monday Night Raw with a dead crowd in Utah or Houston, Texas. No disrespect to Houston, but you guys have been flat for like 3 years. Period. Like that was arguably the whole I'm fainting when I'm running across the ring. My head hurts. I got a migraine. I'm hung over. I don't know what the hell Cody Rhodes was doing. I don't know what they were trying to sell, what story they were trying to tell with this, but it came to a point where I'm sitting there as a true fan of professional wrestling, and I was trying not to be biased, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to tell me? This is ESPN. This is the biggest show of your year since dropping onto Netflix. And Ryan Chan, like I want to get into Ryan Chan as well. Why would they try and utilize the referee with the turnbuckle spot? And he just jumps out of the ring. You get the 5 count for Drew with the roll up.
That made sense to me in the sense that if Cody was going over, it prolongs the story of Drew and Cody because Drew has an excuse to say, I beat him fair and square. But this happened and this happened. And it continues the whole Drew McIntyre whining like a little bitch story that he's been telling for over a year.
Then sell that as the referee made a mistake. But that wasn't talked about. It was like, oh, look, the referee jumped out of the ring. Oh, he's back in the ring. And then you line up on the other side of the ring. Cody lined up for the table spot. And Ryan Chan just gets in the way. But like when a referee tends to get in the way like that, the heel will do a ref bump, throw him out of the way, and just do it anyways. But like Drew McIntyre being the vile heel that he has been for literally since 2022 is now, oh, okay, ref, I'm going to listen to you. And I'm going to be fine with it. And then you get a super Cody, an avalanche Cody cutter and a crossroads and it's game over. I'm like, what did I just watch? What story are we telling here? Yes, okay, you lead this into Drew McIntyre, and please, guys, in the comments, I hope you comment this. Yes, Steve's just being a Drew McIntyre mark. Sure, fine, whatever. But I'm looking at this as it just didn't make sense to me. Like, you're making Drew's stock drop. The guy that's at this point, probably for the next 6 weeks after the Seth Rollins thing, because arguably we haven't talked about it, the Perth thing could get cut off by Drew being pissed off that he's not involved in this title match because he's damn well the best heel in the business in WWE right now. Okay, that's probably going to happen. You could probably run to what's the December PLE. I actually don't know what the December PLE is.
I don't know if they'll have one. They'll have a couple. I know they have a Saturday night's main event, which is Cena's final match. So they'll probably have a big card for that Saturday night's main event.
And then you run into the Rumble, which is in Saudi, which could again presumably be Cody versus Drew if it's possible. But at the end of the day, they made Drew look so bad tonight, and I think that's what annoyed me the most. Cody didn't look strong because why was he fainting? What is the head issue? Commentary was not helping with it. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I even threw out a theory that it was a Bo Dallas Uncle Howdy thing. You know, like, why is he feeling like this? No one told us. It's just like, oh, I slipped, I tripped, I've got a migraine, I'm hungover. Last time I was in Indy, I won the tag titles and I was drunk on a post-match conference. You know, so my biggest issue with this is nothing about the main event made sense. And that's where I get frustrated, is like, you try and build this to something big. You release that there's going to be a bunch of surprises. Yes, Stephanie McMahon getting announced for the Hall of Fame. I loved that. I thought it was so cool, even though it was awkward as fuck. And we can talk about that in a second. We both said it. WWE does not do realism well. But this main event made, excuse my French, fuck all sense. Made fuck all sense.
No, I mean, looking back at it, to me, you can tell the story of Drew McIntyre being upset that he should have been champion when the referee screwed him over multiple times, whether it was the angle where he was going to kick Cody's skull into the announce table, or whether, the buckle situation where the ref was out of the ring for those 5 seconds. Drew will tell the story of I should have won, and then that's going to kind of be the angle that they tell moving forward. I get it. It was the main event of a show that you proclaimed to be like the biggest thing ever with this new ESPN deal, and nothing significant happened. Yeah. To me, if that was going to be the finish of that match, that should have kicked off the show. Why not have a WWE Championship match kick off the show? The ratings are going to be high then of a WWE title match kicking off the show. And then you could have waited to the end to have Lesnar squash Cena, and, you go off the air with like, what the hell just happened? And a bunch of people upset and crying, Yeah. To me, it didn't live up to the main event of a show that Triple H promised that you haven't seen anything yet. And are you ready? And this is going to be one of the biggest shows of all time. And it just wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
That's why it was disappointing to me. It was not a disappointing card at all. To me, it's like all the stories were furthered at all. It just didn't live up to the hype that I thought that we were going to get.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dive into it, because we've gone over literally an hour on this. So let's dive into our quick rankings of each match. Cena Lesnar, where are you on that? Do we want to do this as a fan or an analyst?
An analyst.
Okay, as an analyst? Okay.
I feel like we are fan analysts.
Okay.
When it comes to being content creators. So it's like we know how to analyze things and we know how to separate our emotions from the logic. But to me, there's just no logic here. unless there's a payoff at a future event, but John Cena only has 5 dates left, and I don't want them all wasted on Brock Lesnar. So to me, it's like, yeah, we got 3 AAs, which to me, the attitude adjustment is no longer a finisher. Everybody kicks out of it, no matter how many times he uses the AA. Hell, even Edge hit the AA tonight and someone kicked out of it. So like
Yeah, that was
nobody
kinda
can use
funny.
this. Nobody can use the attitude adjustment anymore and tell me that it's a finisher. We saw 6 F5s. The fact that we saw a Brock Lesnar squash match against John Cena and we didn't see one suplex. John Cena didn't enter Suplex City once
Fair.
during this trip to whatever you want to call Brock Lesnar right now, the last real ass kicker. The best part of this whole match was Paul Heyman's intro of Brock Lesnar.
True.
That was nostalgic.
True.
Nostalgic. Ladies and gentlemen, the 17, what do you call them? The 17 Cena assist or something?
Dude, I cannot remember. It
Goat
was the 17.
Slayer.
Yeah, the Goat
Former
Slayer. That was
NCAA, UFC, WWE heavyweight champion of the world. The last real ass kicker. To me, this just didn't make any. I still don't understand the sense behind it unless there's going to be a redemption arc at War Games. So to me, I give it a 5 out of 10.
5. Okay, so we're going out of 10.
Yeah.
I'll go a little higher. A 7 out of 10. Hold on. You said fan analyst. That's what you said, right?
Dude, I gave it a 5 out of 10 with separating the emotion out of it because logically it just didn't make sense.
See, for me, I thought it was a nice throwback to fans needing to remember that Brock Lesnar left and was sick for however many years after he left from the UFC or to the UFC. So if Brock Lesnar had never have left, would John Cena be in the position that he's in? Or would it have been Brock Lesnar as the 17
And to me, that is a great story to tell if you had 20 dates left for John Cena.
Of course. But the way I look at that is, you know what? Brock Lesnar has always been more dominant than John Cena. John Cena has been the face of the company, but just remember who daddy is. And that's the way I looked at it. That's the way I looked at this match. I'm not saying it was a great finish. I as a fan enjoyed it, but on the storyline thing, I agree with you. I don't like it, but it was at the end of the day, Brock Lesnar is the alpha male of our species, and he lived up to that, true and told.
Fair enough.
I'll give, how about this? I'll go middle of the pack. I'll go 6.5 out of 10 on that.
I just hope that there's a payoff to this story, not even with Cena and Lesnar, just with Lesnar in general.
Yeah, true.
Because if he's going to be around moving forward, I hope he's around a lot more moving forward. I hope we see maybe one day Heyman turns on Rollins, and then we have Lesnar, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker as a faction.
That would be incredible.
Who's going to stop those 3?
I also want to see like Brock Lesnar at 50 years old at almost 330 pounds. I want to see Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. Like, please give me that.
I've always wanted to see Brock versus Braun Breaker too. I feel like
Exactly.
we're closer to that than we've ever been.
So, all right. Second match of the night was, I'm tripping here.
Usos and
Usos
and the Bronze.
I'm just gonna go ahead.
To me, this was a great no disqualification match that we weren't expecting.
Yep.
Great officiating by LA Knight. The ending you can debate all day long if it was a rushed finish or not because of Jey Uso's color. To me, it didn't further the story between Jey Uso, LA Knight, or LA Knight and the Usos in general. I thought someone was turning heel tonight. And again, another reason why I thought WrestlePalooza was going to be so epic, because almost every single match made you think that something big could have happened.
Yeah.
And like, we just didn't get like that payoff moment to what they're building towards with this whole Jey Uso becoming potentially the next tribal chief or acting like it. What's next for the Usos as a tag team? What's next for LA Knight? Does he turn heel tonight and help the Vision and maybe join the Vision? Like, we didn't get a payoff to that. So for that, I'm going to give this match a 7 because it was great. It was a great match. It just didn't have any payoff.
See, I'm giving it a 7 the exact same way, except for I think this infuriated LA Knight just a little bit more. I think it's just one more step to LA Knight being like, and I go back to the Jackie Redmond interview before what was the last PLE in Paris. If you watch the pre-show, I go back to that. Oh, you know what? I was the guy, I had the entrance, I had the 4-letter word, I had the glasses, I had all of that, and then it somehow just got given to this other guy, one of the Samoans, you know? I think this paid a little bit more of a picture to LA Knight finally about to crack. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, but I think that storyline just moved one more dial. That's all I'm going to say on that. So Stephanie Vaquer, Io Sky, I'm going to take this. I'm just going to go flat out 8 out of 10. It wasn't the 5-star banger we expected, and I think everyone and their cousin built this to be. But I'm going to go 8 out of 10 because these are two of the best women in professional wrestling right now. And I could watch these women wrestle every single week and not get sick of it. That's my simple, hands down, quick answer on that.
I will say Io Sky has become someone who, like, back around WrestleMania 41, in my head, I kind of just like, she was an afterthought to me. I'm like,
dismissed, yeah.
She just happens to be in the main event scene because they wanted to throw a swerve and not make the predictable Rhea versus Bianca match.
Yep.
But she has easily been the performer of the year on the women's side, if not in the whole company. It was not the 5-star classic we were expecting.
No.
I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. I mean, with Io, they're going to go in the direction, I think, of Asuka and that whole thing. I don't know what's next for Stephanie Vaquer personally. It was a feel-good moment with her and her dad sitting ringside. The match itself warrants it. I'm gonna give it a 7.5, 7.5.
Okay.
Just because I don't think it was as good as an 8, 9, or 10, but it was a good match. It just for me, it just like didn't hit, but it was good.
All right, let's go into Rollins and Becky and Punk and AJ. And like we said, we already beat this to death about timing being off and not having the full expectation of, 4 future Hall of Famers. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give it a 7.
Oh, okay.
The reason I'm gonna give it a 7 is because I think it built the story enough on the women's side that it made sense. Some of the spots were a lot of fun, and I'm going to look at it as a fan. I had a lot of fun watching it, but like it's really hard for someone that has been watching wrestling for 30 plus years and to see the slip ups, the calls, the mistakes for future Hall of Famers. So I'm going to give it that. I don't think there's much more for me to touch on that. It's just I was really expecting more. I wanted this to be a 10. I really wanted this to be a 10. I wanted the Seth Rollins, AJ Lee moment that we didn't get. I wanted to see Becky take a GTS. You know what I mean? I really thought WWE was going to say, oh, we're talking about, ESPN. I thought we were going to go all out. And it seems like they were still scared to pull the trigger on that cross-gender thing. So
it did feel like a very polished, uniformed show where they didn't really take as many risks as they have been since TKO acquired them. Mm-hmm. You said a 7. Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't live up to my wild expectations, and maybe Seth Rollins curb stomping AJ Lee was a wild expectation on our part. Maybe we just put that in our head and expected it like, oh, WWE is going to think outside the box like us, and it's going to happen for us.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't. Maybe it happens one day down the line to further the Punk Rollins feud. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because I can't not acknowledge that the timing was off, but I also can't, hold it against them because AJ hasn't been in a match, in a high leverage match, a main event level match in 10 years. Her
Fair.
first match back is arguably like one of, if not the most highly acclaimed match going into WrestlePalooza. So it's like I can't like sit here and be like, man, you weren't perfect. I'm turning off the TV. Like they did the best that they could.
Yeah.
Punk and AJ got a great moment. I mean, Punk laying there on the broken table, watching AJ tap out Becky Lynch and him just being like this, like that's pretty cool that they get to experience that together
Yeah.
when 10 years ago you didn't think they were ever going to come back because they were so disgruntled. I mean, Punk got his severance papers on his wedding day when he married April Mendez. So
Yeah.
we never thought we were going to see something like this, 5 years ago, let alone 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So I give it a 7.5 because it didn't live up to my expectations, but it was still a really good story that they told.
Yeah, and like I said, I think they built enough for the women's story to lead us into Perth, which is, I think, the most important part, because at the end of the day, and I'll say it now, I think AJ walks out with the IC title in Perth, and it's going to be a massive pop in the what is now the old O2 Arena in Perth, Western Australia. Cody Drew, please take it because you're going to hate me when I say it, so go ahead.
Really? Are you going to go way higher than I'm expecting?
No, I'm going way lower.
Out of 10, I will give it a 6 because to me, looking back at it, I've had an hour and a half to process it, Steve. It does further their story. No matter how long it takes to get there, it does further the story of Cody gets to live out his second reign as champion a little bit longer than I had really expected. Because when I heard it was the main event, I'm like, something's going down. Whether it's Drew winning in a heel way of just cheating, whether Randy Orton comes out and turns heel on Cody Rhodes, whether the final boss comes out and alludes to Drew McIntyre as his chosen one, which I thought was in the realm of possibility. But silly me, Steve, silly me for my own brain, getting my hopes up and, turning the wheels and thinking that I'd get something that was too good to be true. Because we do that to ourselves as wrestling fans. We did it all the time in the 2010s when Vince was in charge. We're doing it now because Triple H, for a brief moment there, gave us shit that we weren't expecting and almost like to a T gave us what our expectations were around WrestleMania 40 and a little bit in 2024. Hell, he gave us the John Cena heel turn this year. No one was expecting that, and that was an awesome moment. So we've kind of been spoiled in that way to think like big moments are going to happen at these quote unquote big shows that they allude to. But we just didn't get that. This was a simple championship match on a show that was polished and uniformed for WWE to say, hey, ESPN viewers, we're not fake. Come watch our show and come pay $30 to see our PLEs once a month at the beginning of every month. Like, to me, it was just like a way to once again approach the amateur fans and the average viewers to say, we're a lot better than you think we are. Come watch us. But to me, if you're going to do that and if you're going to impress everybody, do the things that everybody wants to see. And to me, we didn't really see any huge cool moments tonight. So I give it a straight 6 because yes, it furthered the story, but it 1000% did not live up to what it should have been for WrestlePalooza on ESPN.
Yeah. Like I said to you, I'm going way lower on this. I'm going 3 out of 10.
Wow, I don't think you've ever given a 3.
I don't actually think since I've been doing ratings as a content creator, I've ever gone lower than a 5. 3 out of 10, and the reason being is because I'm trying to be an unbiased Drew McIntyre fan, but it's getting to a point where I look at Drew as a wrestler and I've seen the bullshit that he's been put through the Vince McMahon stuff. And I look at it this way and I'm like, when does Drew McIntyre crack and be like, yes, I'm in the main event scene every other PLE. I am being pushed as one of the biggest guys, but sooner or later, I'm just the next Lex Luger. that is getting pushed but never gets anywhere. You know what I mean? And tonight it was pushed as something's gonna happen. Something special is going to come through, and the storytelling in the match just wasn't there. The Drew injury going through the monitor under the desk, like, I'm sorry, Drew is 6'5", 280, 260, whatever he is. And his leg going through that, like, just the whole cell and all of that. None of it was, again, we talk about pro wrestling and we talk about the story. None of it was realistic to the story for me. You know, Cody is Super Cena from 2012 to 2016. You know, I get that. But putting a wrestler that is arguably the biggest and best heel in the business right now to a point where it's just, oh, I got a headache and I still can't get past this guy. It felt like they were, I'm going to say this right now, it felt like they were treating Drew McIntyre like Karrion Kross and before he left WWE. And I just did not enjoy the storytelling of the match. Yes, WWE is scripted. There's a story to it. I didn't like the story. I thought it was a horrible match. I didn't enjoy any parts of it. And I see that there is a build to put Drew in a more frantic state. But the fact that they go to the post show and put Cody and Seth into a feud automatically, and Cody has never lost to Seth, it's like, okay, are we going to Perth and Drew's just gonna cause a DQ in a title versus title match? Like, okay, cool. And then we have to wait 8 weeks to the Royal Rumble to build all the way. It's just, it's almost like for Drew McIntyre, it is 3 steps forward, 10 steps back. And that's just what I saw in tonight's match.
Maybe I should have looked at this in the grand scheme of things with Crown Jewel being right around the corner, but like they weren't going to book Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre at Crown Jewel.
No, but Crown Jewel does not need to be title versus title.
But they've established that it is.
Okay, so...
And maybe we didn't assume that going in.
Fair.
But the fact that it was last year, and last year was the first ever like Crown Jewel champion scenario with Cody and Gunther, right? So it's like they're gonna keep it a tradition. It's almost like Survivor Series when they used to pit like the champion of each show against each other, right?
Yeah.
And it's great because Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins is a marquee match, especially when they're both heavyweight champions of the world. But Cody Rhodes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cody getting injured the SmackDown after SummerSlam by Drew, the contract sign, or I guess Cody came back last week on SmackDown to avenge Randy Orton, the contract signing last night, and then the match. They didn't really have much to really go off of. They kind of just put the match together last minute because it was WrestlePalooza on ESPN, and they wanted the face of their company there to defend the title. Yeah. That's the way I almost look at this match. It was not necessarily rushed, but this match itself wasn't going to be the climax of the feud and the story that they're telling.
And then we go back to what you just said. Then if that wasn't the case, why did it finish the show? Why wasn't it John versus Brock?
I agree.
You know, just flip the 2 main events, and then we could have seen something. Hey, if that was the case, then we were just getting a straight up match between Drew and Cody. Cool.
If that match ended the way it did, as is the way it ended in reality, and like Randy Orton came out and was celebrating with Cody and RKO'd Cody, or if like The Rock came out or something big like that, that's worthy of that being the end angle, the main event angle of the show, would have made perfect sense. And we wouldn't be talking heavily about it right now of, oh, that was a shitty ending that Drew didn't win. You know, we'd be satisfied to a degree that something big happened.
Yeah.
Some people are even saying Jericho is returning tonight.
I said it.
Which would have been bonkers. Jericho and Cody face to face to end the show after Cody pins Drew would have been an afterthought to me. I would have been all about Chris Jericho is back. And for the last hour and a half, I would have been telling you of every single great Chris Jericho moment.
Tony Khan would have basically had a meltdown.
Yeah, dude, Tony Khan probably had a meltdown regardless because Adam Copeland hit the 5-knuckle shuffle on AEW programming.
How the fuck did he allow that? How did he allow that and like focus in on it? I just don't understand. Like the fact that we got a Cena chant in Toronto on AEW television is mental to me, but we can talk about that another time. But dude, we have gone over an hour and a half on this. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I love that we are able to break down WrestlePalooza like that, and we can go into probably it's kind of funny. This time of the year for pro wrestling is technically the slowest part of the year.
Yeah,
and we have so much to talk about.
War Games around the corner. War Games the past few years has always been semi-big with the stories that they tell, even though it's not like the pinnacle and the climax of great stories, but it's like you get like all of these great main event stars to come together and fight inside of a double cage. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's so much fun having these conversations. Jack, promote yourself, please.
Guys, follow me at Jack O'Hara TV. I'm posting again. I'm posting every day on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, long form, short form, whatever you guys want. You want green screen content? The kids say, and I'm getting advice from other content creators saying that pops off. I'm going to start doing more of those at Jack O'Hara TV and at Heel TV on TikTok.
And guys, myself, MrTeshk on all platforms, or real MrTeshk. Next week, we are moving into the MrTeshk channel, moving over to the Straight Shoot channel. And then also make sure you follow the straightshoot.co unfiltered newsletter that we have dropped. We are giving away a signed WWE title that is either going to be John Cena, Roman Reigns, or Cody Rhodes by Crown Jewel in Perth. We need to get our subscriptions up just a little higher. Jack is going to start doing some articles on those probably in the next couple of weeks. I've been doing them for a couple of weeks. So it's amazing. 3 times a week, right into your email. Basically, go sit on the toilet, and read your wrestling content and all those updates. But guys, like always, I appreciate you guys being here, and be good people.